Waalaikumsalam.
Oke,
Salam.
ya, good morning. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Uh, let's start our class today after middle test ya. How was your examination, Bapak Ibu? Was it okay? Ya
Luar
lah ya.
biasa.
Luar,
Luar
Amazing.
binasa, Miss.
luar.
Pusing.
Ya, oke. Cuma kita ada kendala di LMS ya, jadinya pakai GT
Iya.
aja. That's it. Sampai sekarang belum bisa ya. So, siapa nih? Apa Pak Pak Tuhu atau sekretaris kita bisa membantu ya? Please help me to write the names of participants today as a presences ya. Untuk
Iya,
apa?
siap
Ya,
saya
di
cek
kelas
juga
saja,
nih.
di grup saja ya Pak. Jadi ada dokumentasinya.
Siap.
Oke, thank you. Jadi untuk presentasi selesai ya. Now we come to the group presentation. Kita sudah masuk ke topik semantics ya, semantics and pragmatics. Nah, ini lebih
Yes.
dalam lagi ya, beyond the linguistic ya. Ada semantics about meaning, thought and reality, reference as a theory of meaning, component analysis, metaphor ya Bapak Ibu. Kemudian kita masuk ke pragmatics. Nah, ini step ahead after semantics. Nah, ada conversational implications, grace theory, and politeness principles and maxims, serta relevance theory. Jadi kita akan talking about meaning hari ini ya, Bapak Ibu. Silahkan, will be presented by group 1 ya.
Yes, group 1.
Group
Yeah.
1, Nurlina, Flomeri, dan Ibu Rahmania. Is
Yeah.
it right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Ya, silakan. The screen is yours.
Thank you. I'm going
Welcome.
to share the screen.
Mhm.
Hmm. Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Okay, thank you everyone for stay happy and engage with our class. Okay, so today we are going to talk about semantic and pragmatic. And our groups, it's me as moderator, Atifatul Rahmania, and then Miss Mary and Miss Nurlina. On this occasion, our group will discover about semantic and pragmatic. Semantic, we are going to talk about the meaning, the truth, reality, reference, componential analysis, metaphor, and in pragmatics, we are going to talk about speech act, conversational implication by grace theories and politeness, principle and maxim, and last relevancy theory. And at the end, we are going to conclude and we will open questions for you. So please pay attention to our presentation. Okay, the first presenter will present by Miss Nurlina. It's your turn, Miss.
Yes, thank you, Miss. Let's start our presentation. The first one is about introduction. In linguistics, the study of meaning forms a bridge between language and human thought. This field is mainly explored through semantic and pragmatics, two branches that work together to explain how people understand and use language to convey ideas, emotion, and intentions. Semantics deal with the meaning of words, phrases, and sentences as part of a language system. It asks how meaning is represented, how it relates to the world, and how words connect to one another. While pragmatics, on the other hand, focuses on meaning in context, how speakers use language in real situation, how listeners interpret intentions, and how social and cultural factors shape communication. Together, these two fields reveal that language is not only a structure of sound and grammar, but also living reflections of human reasoning, perception, and social interaction. Through semantics and pragmatics, linguistics uncovers how people give life to words, turning simple expression into meaningful communication. Next slide, please.
Oh,
Next slide, please. Yes.
yeah.
No? About the previous one? Not this one, not this one.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, let's discuss about meaning, thought, and reality. Every time we speak, our language reflects not only what exists in reality, but also how we perceive it. The connection between meaning, thought, and reality can be understood as meaning. It talk about the concept or idea that language expresses. And the thought, it is about the mental image or understanding that exists in the speaker mind. And the last one, reality. It deals with the actional object, event, or situation in the world that the word refers to. Next slide, please. Here I make the example to make it more clearer. The example is the word home. The word home beautifully shows how meaning, thought, and reality interact, and why one word can evoke different feelings for different people. For example, in reality, home can be described as the physical place where a person lives, a house, an apartment, a village, or a city. And thought, it is about the mental image and emotion that arise when someone hears the word home. For some, it may be warmth, family, and comfort, but for others, it might bring loneliness or nostalgia. And meaning, it is the linguistic symbol itself. The word home, which in English refers to a place where one lives, but carries emotional and cultural association beyond its literal definition. Next, miss. And now it is about reference as theory of meaning. In semantics, reference is about how words relate to the real world, how language points to or identifies things, people, places, and ideas. When we use language, we use words as symbols to refer to something that exists either in reality or imagination. Here is the example of simple reference. The sentence is, that cat is sleeping on the sofa. The word used is the cat, and the reference, the specific animal we are pointing to, the real cat that exists in the physical world. And the meaning, the general concept of cat, we can imagine it is a small, furry, and domestic animal. So while meaning refers to the idea of a cat, reference identify which cat we are talking about in a particular context. Next, miss. Next, miss. Yes. Nah, here is the presence and reference example. Still the example for reference, but based on an expert. He is a German philosopher. His complete name is Gottlob Frege. Explained that a word has both sense, the way we understand it, and reference, what it refers to in reality. For example, the morning star and the evening star. Both phrases refer to the same object, the planet Venus, but they have different sense because people perceive them differently. One is seen at dawn or early morning, and the other at dusk. So, two expressions can have the same reference but different senses. Next, miss. And now, it is about the metaphor. Metaphor is not only a poetic tool, but a reflection of how people conceptualize experience. In semantics, metaphors show how we transfer meaning from one domain, something concrete or familiar, to another, something abstract or complex. This process helps us think, feel, and communicate through shared images. Next, miss. And here is the example of metaphor. The first, from the sentence, love is a game. We can interpret when we heard about this sentence, love is a game, maybe you can say he's playing with her heart, or she won his affection, or they are a perfect match. Here, love is described through the metaphor of a game, suggesting competition, strategy, and winning or losing. This reflects how people emotionally frame relationship as playful or risky interaction. And the second sentence is life is a journey. When we heard about this sentence, maybe we could interpret she reached a crossroad in her life, or he is on the right path, or they have come a long way together. Here, life is understood through the journey metaphor. We use words like path, crossroads, destination, and steps, mapping physical movement onto emotional or personal growth. This shows that people conceptualize progress and change as movement through space. And the next slide, I think, will be explained by Mary, right? Mary, the
Yeah.
time is yours.
Thank you, Miss Lina. Okay. Pragmatist. What is a pragmatist? Pragmatist is a branch of linguistics that studies how people use language in real life situation, how meaning is shaped by context rather than by words alone. For example, can you open the window? Sure. Literally, semantically, is a question about ability, but pragmatically, it's a polite request. Sorry, not inquire about physical strength. This difference shows that heart of pragmatist meanings depends on intention, situation, and share understanding. Next, Miss. The importance of context. What is it? Pragmatists relies heavily on context, which help listeners interpret that the speaker's real intention. Context can be divided into the several types. First is linguistic context, what has been said before in the conversation. Physical context, where and when the conversation takes place. Third is social context, the relationship between speaker and listener. For example, is a teacher, student, friends, and strangers. And the last one is a cultural context, the shared values or norms that influence communication styles. Without context, language can become ambiguous and misunderstood. Next, Miss. Sorry. Let's analyze this sentence. It's getting late. Maybe you should head home. Linguistic context, the meaning depends on what said before. If they were discussing someone feel tired, the praise become a gentle suggestion, not just a time remark. Physical context, the setting, for example, at a friend's house at 11 p.m. gives the word relevance. It's a late, so the advice makes sense. Social context in the relationship matters. From a parent, it sounds caring or authoritative. From a friend, it feels casual and considerate. Culture context in someone cultures, asking someone to go home late show care and politeness, while in others it might sound abrupt. Cultural norms shape how the message is received. Next, Miss. So the main elements of pragmatism: A. Speech acts proposed by G.L. Austin and later expanded by John Searle. The theory of the speech acts explained that to say something is to do something. When we speak, we perform action such as requesting, promising, apologizing, or greeting. There are three levels of speech acts. First is locutory act, is the actual words uttered, and a promise, I call you. And then the third is ecolatory act, the intention behind the words, here making a promise. And the percolatory act, the effect of the listener feeling assured or comforted. Okay, next, Miss. B. Conversational implicator is a introduced by H. Greece, this concept show how people often imply more than they literally say. According to Greece cooperative principle, is the speakers and the listeners assume that both sides are cooperating to make communication meaningful. He proposed four maxims that guide conversation. First is maxim of quantity, give the right amount of information. And second maxim of quality is say what you believe to be true. Three maxims of relevance, be relevant. And four is a maxim of manner, be clear and orderly. When these maxims are faulted, deliberately hidden meanings arise. For example, is Tom a good student? Well, he always attends class. So implicator is that he attends, but maybe he's not academically strong. Next slide.
Okay, for next slide, I'm
Yeah.
going to present it, Miss Mary. You can take a
Okay,
rest.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to continue about the main elements of pragmatics. The last element is politeness principle, developed by Geoffrey Leach and Brown and Levenson. The politeness theory explains how people use language to maintain respect, harmony, and faith as personal social image. Okay, Lynch created six politeness maxims, includes number one is tact maxims. It's minimize cost to others. For example, by saying, could you please pass the salt, for example. And then generosity maxim, maximize benefit to others. So it's mean do more for others rather than for yourself. For example, let me help you with that. And then the next one is modesty maxim is minimize praise of self, praise other and avoid criticizing them. Such example, you did great job, such as that. And then is okay, sorry, modesty maxim is price for himself, just like I was just lucky, or instead saying I'm the best. And then number 5 is agreement maxim. It seek agreement, such as you're right, but maybe you can say, maybe you can also try this, such as this. And then sympathy maxim, it show empathy or care or concern for others, such as I'm sorry to hear that. Are you okay? Kind of that. So these principles help explain why we say could you possible or instead of do this. Politeness isn't just about words, it's about showing emotional intelligence in communications. So the relevant theories proposed by Sprember and Wilson in the year 1986, this theory argues that every act of communication assumes that the speaker's message is relevant enough to be worth processing. Listeners naturally interpret utterances by looking for meaning that provides the most cognitive effect. Or useful information with the least effort. Example, it's cold here. I'll close the window. B doesn't respond to the literary statement, but to its relevant attention, as A wants to warm. So relevance theory highlight how humans are guided by instinctive reasoning, not just rules. So that's all for the presentation, our presentation. We are going to conclude our presentation about semantic and pragmatic. Language is far more than a tool for communication. It is the mirror of the human mind. Through semantic and pragmatic, we uncover two intertwined dimension of language, such as the inner architecture of language and its living expression in real interaction. Semantics explore how words and sentences mean, how linguistic symbols connect to thought and to the word they describe. It shows that meaning is not contained in words alone, but in the human capacity to conceptualize reality. Through reference, componential analysis, and metaphor, we see that language builds bridge between the tangible and the abstract, the logical and the emotional. It is in semantics that we begin to understand how humans give shape to experience through structured system of meanings, while pragmatics, on the other hand, brings language to life within its natural habitat context. It reminds us that meaning is dynamic. It shifts with the situation, relationship, and the cultural setting in which it used. Speech act reveal how words do things, such as implicators show how people communicate more than they say. Politeness principle reflect the delicate dance of social harmony, and relevance theory illustrates how listener infer intention based on what feels meaningful in the moment. Pragmatism captures the human art of interpretation, the silent negotiation that happens every time when we speak. We combine semantic and pragmatic present a complete vision of how meaning operates. Semantic give us the structure, the stable system that underline understanding, while pragmatics give us the soul, the flexibility and empathy that make communication human. Together, they remind us that language is both science and art, governed by pattern yet shaped by people. Meaning is not fixed, it's co-created every time a word is spoken and understood. And in that shared space between thought and sound, between self and other, lies the essence of human connections. Thank you everyone for listening. Now is Q&A session. And we will open 3 questions. So just raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay.
Anyone? Mr. Tuhu or Miss? Just raise the hand, everyone. Yeah, please, Pak.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to ask a question.
In pragmatic, the meaning it will be different. It can be sarcasm or tell something is the indifference meaning itself. That's Patuhu.
How do you know it is sarcasm?
So it's depend on the back again. It depends on the expressions and then the situation and the cultural.
Can you give them to us to show the sarcasm situation? Does I'm fine become a
For
sarcasm?
example, like maybe like in situation like you saw something and then said like she's fine, but actually like she is not really fine, for example. So it's actually the meanings of the sentence or word actually more looks like the culture. Actually, in our culture, maybe I'm fine. It's really something good, but we don't know. In abroad, they can say maybe sarcastic thing by saying it's fine or no, like this. That's from the example that. Should I find another example or what?
Can I give
Ask Pak Tuhu.
another?
Okay. What do you think, Pak
From
Tuhu?
your explanation,
Does he understand or not?
the meaning depends on the situation and the culture, as
Yeah,
you
that-
explained, between pragmatic and semantic.
Sorry.
Can I give another explanation maybe?
Okay, Miss.
Okay, please.
it is between semantic and pragmatic, and how to make it differ from the word I am fine. Yeah. When someone say I am fine, semantically, it can conclude that the speaker is in a good condition. He or she not sick or not upset. So literally it means I am okay or I am well. Of course, someone asks them first, how are you today? Gitu ya. Maka jawabannya I'm fine gitu ya. But pragmatically, someone say I am fine, it can reflect sometimes actually she or he not fine at all. How we can say like that? We can see from their tone, maybe, yeah. When someone said, I am fine or I am okay, with a calm tone, it can be take conclusion that she is really okay, gitu ya. But maybe if someone say I am fine with a sad tone after arguing something or everything, maybe pragmatically it can be mean they are not fine at all. That's what can I explain, Mr. Teguh? Ya, semantik itu
Yes,
arti,
I
ya.
have a little understanding about your explanation.
Okay.
Okay, next question, maybe Miss Putri.
Thank you for the opportunity. That was a clear presentation actually. And then I have a question here. How do politeness principles function as a social strategy in languages? I will repeat again. How do politeness principles function as a social strategy in languages? That's the
Okay.
question, Ms. Nia.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you, Ms. Putri. I will try to answer the question. Politeness principles. It is from Leach, Brown, and Levinson, so that communication is both linguistic and social. People use politeness to protect face or the sense of self-worth in interaction. Strategies such as indirectness, softening, or positive framing help maintain social harmony. As an example, instead of you say close the window, directly saying like that, you can just by saying like this, would you mind closing the window, please? Nah, just like it is part of the politeness. Deceive from a command, open the window, that's a command. But when you add or you change the sentence, would you mind closing the window, please? It is not a command at all. It is a request. So respecting the listener freedom and social dignity. Politeness, therefore, it is not a weakness. It is a form of linguistic intelligence that balance your honesty, your sympathy. I think that's my answer, Miss.
Thank you, Ms. Lina. It's clear.
Yes. The last one,
Okay.
yes. We will give
And last question
three
is Miss Fitri.
question. Yes.
Yes, still mute, Miss.
Okay, yes. Based on the presentation, my question is, how do speech acts reveal the function nature of language, and why is context very crucial for interpreting them? Once again, how do speech acts reveal the function nature of language, and why is context crucial for interpreting them? Thank you.
Will answer.
Miss Mary, do you want to try? Are you okay?
Mary is there. If no, I will try to answer.
Okay.
Okay. It is about how do speech act reveal the function nature of language and why is context crucial for interpreting them. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, speech act demonstrate that language is not merely a system of symbols, but a form of action. When we speak, we do things. It can be such as we apologize, request, promise, warn, or compliment someone. For example, from the sentence, I promise to be here, or I promise to be there tomorrow. Perform the act of promising, not just stating information. Context determine how a utterance function. For example, can you open the door? Can you open the window? It can be a genuine question in other setting or a polite request in another. Thus, speech act bridge the gap between linguistic form and communicative intention, showing how meaning is shaped by social and situational context. I think that's my answer. Is it clear enough, Miss?
Yes, thank you,
If
Miss
no, maybe Mayang can add some explanations about it. Miss Nia?
Okay, so we already opened 3 questions. So maybe Miss Maya,
Did there any questions so far?
do you have
Mungkin
any
ada
question,
pertanyaan
friends?
lain? Ini 2 topik ya Bapak Ibu, semantic and pragmatics, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. 2 kinds of meaning. No more questions?
I think there is no more question. Maybe you
There's no
can
more
add
questions.
new, maybe make it your explanation get more clear for us.
For us, yeah.
Okay, I don't want to give you more explanation. I want to give you maybe we call it a case study mungkin ya, studi kasus ya Bapak Ibu atau kind of exercises to check your understanding. Sebentar, ini saya bisa show ya. Show ini, bentar. Share what is it? To make it clearer. Ya. Benefit. Oke. Bentar. Oh, belum terbaca ya. Bentar.
Belum ya?
Belum.
Belum muncul.
Harusnya sudah muncul ya. Ya. Oke, ini dia. Oke. Ini sudah terlihat Bapak Ibu? Sudah ya? Nah, semantik saya mau ngambil 1 doang ya, 1 aja. Nulis. Nah, oke. Case-nya ini Bapak Ibu coba dilihat ya. In advertisement, the slogan reads, jadi ada iklan ya. Jadi ada slogan Future University. Jadi ini kind of fiktif ya, fictive university names like Bright Future University. Nah, jadi yang saya minta ya ini dia ya, between brackets ya, between quotes, ya, dia ada antara 2 tanda kutip itu, unlock your potential with Bright Future University. Nah, the questions are, pertama, identify the types of meaning used. Ya, literal or figurative. Tentu kalau memilih literal why, kalau figurative by giving the reason of course ya. Ini kan sudah dijelaskan. Kemudian explain how metaphor contributes to the persuasive effect ya, break down the semantic components of potential. Nah, bisa dikerjakan Bapak Ibu, nanti ada lagi untuk yang pragmatik ya. Coba. Unlock your potential with Bright Future University. Kelompok penyanyi nanti tidak boleh menjawab, tapi nanti memvalidasi jawaban. Teman-teman ya, oke? That's it.
Sure.
Miss Mayang, I want to
Yeah.
make so we have to see each words or just completely in one sentence to know the is it figurative or what?
At the whole.
At the
Secara
whole, so it's a
keseluruhan, that's it.
sentence.
Iya, the sentence mean.
Okay.
And then show what word maybe ya yang kemudian mengandung itu atau apa.
Oh, I see.
That's it. Kalau untuk meaningnya a whole.
Okay. So we answer it by speak here or we have to submit it or how is it?
Right now, Bu. Jadi berapa menit Bapak Ibu sudah bisa menjawab? Jadi didiscuss aja. Ya kita masih punya banyak waktu ya. Nah, that's it. Mungkin selain presenter, apa Bu Nurina, Bu kita punya Actify. Bu Actify ya. Kemudian Bu Mary. Mungkin ada yang bisa menjawab. Tadi kan sudah dijelaskan ya.
Ini.
Atau mungkin Bapak ibu-ibu presenter yang akan menunjuk siapa yang akan menjawab ini. I give you
Figurative.
authority.
I think we want the one who want to be volunteers. If we
Yeah.
point out it's like no.
Okay.
The questions is quite clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. That's it. Unlock your potential with Bright Future University. Nah, gitu. Tentukan ya. Identify the type of meaning, literal or figurative, and why you choose one of them. Dan ya, explain how metaphor. Nah, itu dia tadi. Kalau untuk metafor berarti kan ada a word-nya kan?
Yes.
Kemudian semantik komponen dari potential.
May I try, ma'am?
Iya, gimana? Silakan. Siapa ini?
Saya Zahro, ma'am.
Oke, Zahro silakan. Silakan
Oke.
kelompok penyaji didengarkan ya. Oke.
Okay, dari the sentence is unlock your potential with Bright Future University. The first question is identify the meaning used. It is figurative.
Figurative, okay.
Yes, because the word of unlock it's figurative. Jadi unlock itu menjelaskan seperti biasanya kan unlock itu dipakai untuk maknanya itu membuka kunci. Tapi maksud unlock di sini itu bukan untuk membuka kunci. Jadi figuratif. Lalu the question number 2 is how metaphor contributes to persuasive effect. Ini dari unlock your potential. Jadi sebagai yang membaca akan membayangkan kayak unlock your potential itu bisa kuncinya itu bisa kita buka. Terus habis itu kemampuan diri kita itu jadi sebenarnya terkunci, terus kita tuh bisa membukanya seperti itu. And the last is the components of potential. Nah, jadi potensialnya ini, terus yang nomor 2 itu kan tadi ada unlock your potential. Jadi kan tadi masih terkunci, terus kita kemampuan diri yang sebenarnya kita punya itu masih terkunci, kita bisa membukanya dengan Bright Future University. Itu jadi Bright Future University itu punya kunci untuk membuka potensi kita yang masih tersimpan. Lalu components of potentialnya itu seperti ability atau kemampuan yang kita punya, terus habis itu atau future possibility. Jadi kemampuan kita itu bisa berkembang di masa depan. Seperti itu kalau dari saya. Mungkin dari penyaji bisa ditambahkan atau mungkin bisa di yang lain dari revisi. Oke. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other opinions? Ada pendapat lain? To add some informations that Zahra has explained before.
Can I add the explanation, ma'am?
Ya,
I'm-
kalau kalau Bu Rila memvalidasi nanti.
Oh yeah. Okay. Just wait one other maybe ya.
Ya, satu lagi coba karena
Ya,
masih ada
kita
satu lagi
coba dulu.
pertanyaan.
Kita
Let's
coba
see.
dulu. Just
That's
wait.
interesting. Oke. Ada lagi yang lain, Bapak Ibu, silakan. Di bagaimana menerapkan ya, karena kan saya mungkin tidak terlupakan untuk menulis memberikan example of research ya. Maksudnya meminta Bapak Ibu seperti biasa kan sebelumnya saya ask you give some example atau mungkin one example how this theory applied in research gitu ya. Nah itu kan nggak ada ini sekarang, jadi nggak apa-apa melalui latihan and discussion ini mungkin bisa dielaborasi. Oke, silakan yang mau sharing one more, satu lagi saja. His or her opinion toward these questions. Ini tentang semantik ya. Ada? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, nggak ada. Silakan kelompok penyaji untuk mengelaborasi ya.
Okay, I will try to elaborate the sentence. Unlock your potential with Bright Future University. I agree with Zahro for the unlock. Yes, because unlock means you have to open with a key. That's the literal meaning. But here, it belongs to figurative because unlock here used as a metaphor for discovering or developing your abilities. That's the phrase. And then with Bright Future University, it is the name of university, Bright Future.
Yeah,
So,
the name of university.
yes, the name of the university.
Fictive
So-
university.
So it is a kind of an advertisement, I think. It is an advertisement. It can be said that by joining or by enrolling to the bright future university, it means you have opened or you have discovered the right path to developing your abilities. And how the metaphor contribute? This metaphor give the persuasive effect.
Mhm.
Yes, give the persuasive effect to the reader.
Only persuasive?
Yes, persuasive, terus empowerment maybe ya, encourage. Also positive emotional image.
Mhm.
Because being locked, it means locked, terkunci, you will feel such as limit. While unlocking, you feel free. You feel free and full of opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
So beside it give persuasive, also give you a positive emotional by the word unlock. Also maybe implies transformation such because studying at Bright Future University will change your life and open the new doors. I think like that, man.
Mhm.
Just like that.
So talking
That
about a metaphor, pasti ada yang disebut dengan source domain, right? And target domain. Can you explain it?
yes, the target domain, it is for the youngster who just graduated from the high school, who look for the university.
No, I mean about the theory of metaphor. Tadi dijelaskan nggak ya? Jadi kalau kita talking about metaphor itu kan ada source domain, target domain ya, to shows the meaning of the metaphor itself. Jadi untuk unlock tadi itu source domainnya implies apa dia?
Source domain.
Kemudian targetnya apa? Gitu. Unlock. Jadi ada apa ya? Sumber ya. Domain sumber sama domain target. Kita sebutnya seperti itu sih kalau talking about metaphor.
Source domain and target domain gitu ya.
That's it.
Okay.
Unlock itu berasal dari dunia fisik gitu ya. Bidang menggunakan kata kunci. Itu tindakan konkret kali ya, men?
Yeah.
I think the source maybe the source domain is something concrete that we know, like unlock is we imagine is the door, while the target is the abstract idea, like the potential in ourselves. That is,
Yeah, maybe yeah.
Maybe
Can
like
we?
that.
yeah,
Can
I
we?
think that's
That's okay. Can
Jadi potensial itu diibaratkan seperti sesuatu yang terkunci. Kuncinya itu abstrak. Kuncinya itu konkret. Tindakan membuka kuncinya itu konkret, sedangkan potensialnya itu yang abstrak itu.
yeah, because when we say unlock, it's mean like in our imagination we think about something that we can open, like a door or
That's it.
window.
Open, right? Open.
Yeah,
That's it.
open.
Opening. Itu dia.
Yes,
Yeah.
open.
Opening a lock. That's it.
Yeah.
This is source domain. Opening a lock. Okay. So
While the
implies what?
target something like abstract, like our potential after join the Bright Future University, maybe we will open our more potential in ourselves.
That's it. It's mean realizing potential, yeah, because of open a lock tadi kan. That's the target domain. Jadi dia apa tadi sampaikan, personal growth, right? Empowerment and achievement. Jadi source domain and to the target domain. That's right. And then either additions. Ada tambahan lagi, ibu-ibu penyaji? No. Before coming to the second question.
I think from the answer they already know, already understand maybe.
Understand ya, okay ya. Okay. Jadi sedikit ya, a little bit I would like to explain it. Ini pertanyaan. Padahal ini hanya only one sentence ya. Nah, tapi you should realize ternyata satu kalimat ini itu bisa mengandung banyak hal gitu. Jadi after studying this, kita bisa lebih apa ya, deep ya, to interpret the meaning gitu. Not only literal tapi ada figurative meaning ya di dalam linguistik ilmu-ilmu bahasa ini. So the meaning used in this sentence like unlock your potential with bright future university itu kan sepintas kalau kita tidak ini kan udah lewat aja tuh, tapi ternyata dia mengandung banyak hal ya. The meaning used in this slogan tentunya adalah figuratif yang tadi disampaikan oleh Zahra dan teman-teman banyak. That's right, that's okay, itu adalah figuratif ya, rather than literal ya, yang literal yang betul-betul letterlex lah kita terjemahkan begitu ya. So in semantics literal meanings refers to the direct ya. Jadi kalau untuk literal itu kan dia refers to the direct or dictionary meaning kita sebutnya ya, arti yang ada di kamus. Nah, itu semua arti yang di kamus itu adalah literal meaning gitu ya. Of a word, jadi satu kata gitu. So while figurative meaning, ya as you know, that involves a transfer of sense sebetulnya. Jadi ada sense ya yang kemudian dipindahkan dari a word to us ya, dari satu kata ke kita gitu. So using one domain ya of experience, using one domain of experience to describe another gitu. Untuk menjelaskan hal-hal yang jadi satu ini untuk bisa menggambarkan suatu hal yang lain. So in this slogan, the word unlock, satu kata itu saja itu sudah luar biasa gitu ya. Kalau kita gali ya, the meaning of unlock itu. So it's not referring to the literal act, opening a physical lock gitu ya. Kan enggak gitu ya. Gitu. Bukan membuka pintu atau membuka apa gitu ya. With a key, dengan kunci gitu ya. Instead it refers, tapi dia apa? To the figurative act ya. Jadi ada tindakan figuratif di situ of enabling or realizing one's hidden abilities. Jadi itu kan luar biasa ya. Itu harusnya jadi apa kemampuan-kemampuan kita yang tersembunyi itu bisa kemudian di unlock ya dengan enter the university. Ini bagus banget sebetulnya pilihan katanya gitu ya. So this kind of figurative meaning is achieved through a metaphor ya, kita sebutnya ini sudah metafor ya. Unlock ini a cognitive and linguistic tools that connects two conceptual domains. Itu tadi yang saya sebutkan. Jadi ada dua konsep ya domain di sini. Source domain tadi sudah dijawab ya. The concrete ya physical experience of opening a lock itu sebenarnya source domainnya itu ya. Opening a lock. Nah, target domainnya yang mana? The abstract, yang tadi disampaikan, the abstract idea of releasing or discovering personal potential gitu. Jadi bukan berarti membuka kunci atau suatu benda dengan kunci, tapi ini kemudian dipindahkan ke target domain menjadi apa? Sesuatu yang abstrak ya. Discovering personal potential. So the expression unlock your potential gitu ya means make your hidden talents gitu ya, skills juga bisa ya, talenta-talenta yang tersembunyi, skills or intelligence ya visible and active, menjadi terlihat dan kemudian terkuak gitu, discover, terbuka gitu. Jadi ini yang harus kita pahami untuk the first question ya, the types of meaning use ya, figurative ya. Jadi tidak sesederhana itu. Next, the questionnya metaphor ya, contributes to the, ini ada persuasive effect sebetulnya ya. So the metaphor unlock your potential makes the slogan not only persuasive tapi imaginative kan. Kita harus berimajinasi itu, bukan hanya gimana ya caranya, apa ya yang dibuka gitu kan. Jadi kita berimajinasi di situ. Dan tadi saya ada pendekatan emosional ya dengan kata yang dipilih gitu. So according kalau kita kembali the theory of conceptual metaphor ya, itu proposed by Lakoff and Johnsons gitu ya. So metaphors are not merely ornamental, jadi bukan hanya sebuah ornamen ya Bapak, tapi fundamental to human thought itu sebetulnya. Dia menjadi suatu hal yang sangat fundamental untuk pikiran manusia. They allow abstract concepts ya, jadi ada konsep-konsep abstrak like potential ya or success misalnya to be understood through concrete gitu ya. Itulah hebatnya. Jadi hal-hal yang sifatnya abstrak tapi kemudian dikonkretkan dengan unlock tadi gitu. Jadi orang bisa berimajinasi, gitu ya, yang terkunci, kemudian secara emosional juga menjadi rilis kan, seperti itu. Jadi ada sensory experiences juga gitu ya, like unlocking or opening gitu. So in this case gitu tadi disebutkan untuk yang opening a lock itu applies apa? Ada effort, ada control, ada access di situ kan. Sementara untuk yang target domain ya, realizing potential tadi itu tadi implies personal growth ya, achievement, empowerment ya, seperti itu. So when audiences read unlock your potential misalnya, so they subconsciously secara tidak sadar sebetulnya associate the act of unlocking with freedom gitu ya, discovery, opportunity gitu ya. So this triggers a positive emotional tentunya karena apa? People want to feel empowered and capable of progress ya. So in advertising discourse, metaphors like this create a sense of agency, that idea that you can do it tentunya, which enhances persuasiveness and makes the slogan memorable. Nah, itu yang kedua tentang tadi metafor contributes ya. Okay, next. Nah, untuk yang tadi semantic components, that's okay ya. Jadi kita untuk semantic components kita membreakdown satu kata itu menjadi binary analisis sebetulnya. Jadi binary itu plus minus ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi kita terlihat bagaimana kemudian kategorisasi dari the word yang kita analisis tadi gitu. Untuk komponen-komponen penyusunnya. So untuk potential itu ada ability-nya plus ya. Berarti apa tuh ability plus maksudnya di situ? Potential refers to the capacity or skills to do something, gitu ya, potential. Kemudian bisa pakai plus Latin. Itu artinya apa? It implies that this ability is not visible or developed ya, it exists in a dormant form ya. Jadi sifatnya abstrak, kemudian masih tersimpan laten gitu ya. Dan kemudian itu bisa dibangkitkan karena dia potensial. Jadi tenaga potensial, energi potensial kan tuh belum digerakkan, tapi dia memiliki potensi. Nah, itu dia latent. Jadi plus dia. Jadi bisa digerakkan. Jadi sesuatu yang menjanjikan ya, ini future. Dan makanya dia disebut juga yang future oriented ya. Jadi future oriented ini plus future oriented karena dia the term carries a sense of future realization, ya, something that can or will happen ya, dengan potensial tadi. And then personal. Nah, personal ini in this context it refers to human capability tied to the individual's identity or self. Gitu. So this componential breakdowns help students see the potentials denotes more than just skill. Gitu. Karena dia apa? It combines a temporal, feature, and psychological, personal dimension. Ya. Jadi ini one sentence yang kita breakdown ya dengan beberapa pertanyaan tadi. Ya, ada semantik perspektif di situ ya, Bapak Ibu ya. Untuk semantik and rhetoric ini dia akan untuk advertising, untuk iklan-iklan itu bisa memahami gitu ya. Ada semantik perspektif di situ. The slogan uses figurative. Biasanya seperti itu ya. Soalnya slogan itu menggunakan figurative meaning and metaphor. Untuk apa tujuannya? To reshape sebetulnya. Untuk mempertajam conceptual understanding ya terhadap sesuatu. Ini kan semua simple banget gitu. Tapi ternyata mananya luar biasa. Dan juga ada cognitive perspektif di situ. Karena dia it activates the audience mental model of unlocking ya. Kata-kata unlocking itu sudah liberating hidden capacity ya. Jadi dia bisa membebaskan kapasitas-kapasitas kita yang masih tersembunyi gitu. And then ada dari pragmatic perspective also ya, kita belum masuk sebetulnya, tapi dari pragmatic perspective juga bisa sebetulnya. The intention is persuasive sebetulnya. Ya, mengajak orang gitu. It aims to encourage actions ya, untuk apa? To enrollment gitu, untuk mendaftar ya ke institusi tersebut itu. Dan juga ada cultural perspective ya. Potensial atau potensi diri gitu ya. Kalau di Asian, kalau di culture kita carries moral and social ya, undertones sebetulnya ya, potensi diri. Achieving potential means fulfilling family or societal expectation. Nah, itu yang untuk pertanyaan pertama. Nah, kemudian saya ingin masuk ke pragmatik ya, lebih ininya ke pragmatik gitu. Nah, ini coba Bapak Ibu. Ini case-nya seperti ini. Jadi ada meeting ya. Nah, jadi kalau untuk pragmatics itu kita nggak bisa hanya berdasarkan teks ya, harus pakai konteks. Penting. Maka ini case-nya adalah during meeting ya. Jadi nggak di pasar, nggak di mana, tapi di sebuah meeting gitu ya. Di sebuah meeting between siapa? Between manager and employee. Ya, ada manager dan employee. Nah, manager dia say something ya to the employee, of course. The report was supposed to be ready yesterday. Ya. Terus si employee bilang apa? I'm almost done. Nah, ini kalimat ini saja Bapak Ibu, the conversation, only 2 sentences ya, between manager and employee. Silahkan Bapak Ibu elaborate dengan teori pragmatik tadi yang sudah dibahas kelompok penyaji. By answering the question, ada 3 sama tadi dengan yang the first question about semantics, identify the types of speech act in the manager's utterance ya. Nah, speech apa nih yang ada atau yang kemudian terimply ya di sentence yang disampaikan atau utterance yang disampaikan oleh manager. Dan which Grecian maxim, tadi sudah dijelaskan ya maksim-maksimnya ya Ibu Atifah, which Grecian maxims ya, yang kemudian is floated by the employee. Nah, kira-kira apa nih yang kemudian dilanggar gitu ya oleh si employee ini dengan hanya mengatakan I'm almost done. Ya, responnya kan I'm almost done. Nah, untuk sebuah tindak tutur, nah ini apa sih yang sudah dilanggar nih oleh si employee ini dengan hanya I'm almost done gitu. Kemudian what is the implicator? Implikatornya apa sih sebetulnya percakapan 2 orang ini? Implikatornya apa? Silakan. Sama nanti tadi ya, silakan nanti kalau di luar kelompok penyaji silakan menjawab, give the opinions ya, dan kemudian nanti di reshape ya oleh grup presenter. Mungkin berapa menit ya? 3 menit apa 5 menit ya? Ya 5 menit lah ya Bapak Ibu silakan.
Anyone want to try?
Iya, ada yang raise hand itu. Bu Nurlina.
A minute, I can see it, ma'am. Minute.
Ibu Putri, right?
Bu Putri, yes.
Yes,
Please, Miss
Bu
Putri.
Nurlina.
Yes, please, Miss Putri.
Mencoba menjawab ya Bu Nurlina, mohon diperbaiki nanti kalau ada kesalahan. So the case is during a meeting, and then the manager said the report was supposed to be ready yesterday, and the employee answered, "I'm almost done." So the question here, number one, is identify the type of speech act in manager's utterance. Nah, di sini masuk ke dalam indirect directive speech act. Nah, meskipun manajer tidak secara langsung memerintahkan, but ucapannya bermaksud menegur atau meminta laporan segera diselesaikan. Jadi, ini adalah bentuk tidak langsung dari perintah. Nah, and then the second question here is, which Grecian maxim is floated by the employee? Nah, in here is maxim of quantity. Kenapa? Karena karyawan memberikan informasinya tidak lengkap. Nah, di sini ada kata I'm almost done. Nah, I'm almost done di sini artinya tanpa menjawab langsung alasannya, alasan keterlambatan atau waktu pasti selesainya. Jadi tidak disebutkan secara spesifik. And then the third question is, what is the implicatur? Di sini maknanya adalah karyawan mengisyaratkan bahwa laporan belum selesai, namun sedang dalam proses dan hampir selesai. Intinya belum selesai, begitu Bu Nurlina. Kemudian mencoba meredakan teguran manajer tanpa menolak secara langsung. Demikian, Ibu dosen. Terima kasih.
Okay. Any other opinion yang mau ditambahkan oleh peserta selain presenter? That's good. Tidak ada sepertinya ya. Silakan. Ibu Atifa, Bu Nurlina, Bu Mary mana suaranya? Belum kelihatan ya? Belum kelihatan, belum kedengeran. Silakan. If your opinion to the Ibu Putri's answer ya. Jawaban dari Ibu Putri.
Maybe I will add a bit, ma'am, because I agree with Miss Putri's opinion.
Okay, good. That's right.
Yes, from the manager utterance, is the report was supposed to be ready yesterday. Jadi the manager just try, instead of order, he give an indirect requesting, or maybe it implies a request or a reminder for his employee. Yes, that's why he used the word report was supposed to be ready rather than finish the report now. Gitu ya. That's the first, and then the second, for the Greece, the employee, there is something, ada yang kurang dari situ, gitu ya, because the employee just say, I'm almost done, only like that. It means doesn't fully satisfy the manager and don't give the information that's expected by the manager. It is only a fudge answer, like almost done, only like that. No explanation of that, or no other better answer that's expected by the manager. And then the implicator, yes, it is. It means when I'm almost done, it means not finished at all, still on progress, while the manager expect it has been finished.
Ya, berarti apa itu? Dia meminta apa di situ?
Meminta diselesaikan kan?
No, si employee-nya want to give what? Implicator-nya apa?
Implicator-nya
Hmm.
maybe a complaint,
Mm-mm.
complaint,
Complain? No.
or try to reassure the manager, meyakinkan, but soon will be finished.
Atau excuse?
Accuse, yes,
Ya,
accuse.
that's it, excuse ya kan? Dia sebentar izin tuh gitu kan. Masih ini Pak sampai besok kan gitu.
Yes.
Excuse secara tidak langsung kan, kayak almost kata dia gitu ya. Kan dia minta yesterday itu. Ya kan, tapi
Ya,
almost
betul.
nih katanya gitu. Ya excuse dia minta izin kan. Minta dipahami excuse gitu. Oke. Oke, good.
Udah begitu aja.
Itu aja. Ya, oke, thank you ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi
Ya.
ya mungkin ini lebih menarik kalau kita diskusikan kasus-kasus ini, jadi bisa langsung apply the theory ya in a case gitu. So kalau we talking about speech act ya, tadi harusnya dimasukkan ada nggak ya Bu di PPT-nya tentang karena kan di propose by Austin ya. Speech
Ya.
act itu firstly itu proposed by Austin 1962 ya, kalau nggak salah 1962. Kemudian
Ya.
muridnya Shirley mempertajam lagi dengan
Shirley.
that's it good ya 1969 ya kalau tidak salah. Jadi sekitar 7 tahun setelah itu gitu. So every utterances can be analyzed. Prinsipnya seperti itu. Melalui 3 layers sebetulnya ya. There are 3 layers meaning di situ speech act itu. Pertama adalah locutionary act.
Questionnaire act,
Kemudian
illocutionary
illocutionary act and perlocutionary act.
questionnaire act,
Ketiga
yes.
itu gitu. Kalau untuk locutionary itu sama tuh dengan semantiknya sebetulnya itu. The literal meaning, right?
The
Jadi
actual
kalau
word,
that's
yes.
it, ya, the literal meaning of the sentence, what is said. Jadi apa yang dikatakan itulah itu, ya. Hanya tahap pemaknaannya, ya, bisa dibahas secara sinteks dan segala macam. Jadi locutionary act itu seperti itu. Dan kemudian baru naik ke illocutionary
Illocutionary
act.
act.
What is mean? Apa maksudnya? Kan gitu. Nah,
Yeah.
the speaker's intended function gitu. Jadi maksud dari si pembicara. Jadi nggak hanya apa yang terucapkan, tapi maksudnya. Kan kita sebutkan karena orang mengatakan sesuatu, tapi maksud lo, nah, nggak jelas tuh. Tapi maksud lo ditanya lagi, dikejar maksud lo gitu. Jadi not only locutionary, tapi sudah pakai illocutionary. The speaker's intended gitu. Nah, baru masuk ke perlocutionary act. Nah, baru masuk apa itu, what is achieved, apa tujuannya. Nah, makanya kalau di speech act itu kata-kata itu memiliki power, the power of language, not the power of emak-emak ya, tapi the power of language ya. Ininya bahasa itu memiliki kekuatan gitu ya. Kekuatannya act ya, menggerakkan. Nah, itu. Jadi ucapan kita itu menggerakkan seseorang, padahal hanya speech ya, ujaran gitu, utterance, tapi dia bisa menggerakkan. What is achieved? Apa yang kita inginkan dari ucapan kita, tapi bisa menggerakkan orang lain. Maka dia disebut dengan perlocutionary act. The effect, ya, the effect on the listener. Jadi efek ucapan kita kepada si pendengar itu dalam bentuk tindakan, action gitu. Maka in this case ya, untuk kasus kita ini, case kita ini, so locutionary act-nya yang mana gitu? The mandate statement kan? Statement dari si manager, right? The report was, jadi hanya statement loh ini, bukan permintaan, bukan apa, statement kan? Nah, the report was supposed to be ready yesterday. Itu statement. Tapi itu maknanya bagi si employee kan tidak hanya statement kan? Dia merasa, deg-degan itu sebetulnya ditegur seperti itu. Gitu kan? Nah, itu kerennya ya, speech act itu gitu. The report, karena yang mengucapkan itu adalah manajer. Tapi kalau yang mengucapkan itu office boy, dia deg-degan nggak Bapak Ibu? Enggak. Ya, nggak deg-degan ya, apa hubungannya sama lo kan gitu. Tapi karena manajer nih, posisinya juga menentukan gitu ya. Makanya speech itu harus tergantung juga dengan siapa yang menyampaikan. So the report was supposed to be ready yesterday itu akan menjadi satu hal yang kemudian sesuatu tuh bagi si employee gitu. So the report was supposed to be yesterday. Oke. Nah, maka kemudian illocutionary act-nya apa sebetulnya maksud si manajer apa sih sebetulnya, apakah itu hanya statement? No, ya. Beyond that, lebih dari itu. The manager actually apa? Intends to apa di situ Bapak Ibu? To express apa? Tidak hanya apa tapi dissatisfaction kan
Yes,
sebetulnya kan?
dissatisfaction.
Dissatisfaction, dia nggak puas tuh sebetulnya, atau mungkin mau memberikan pressure, right? Or
Yes.
press for completion. Kamu harus selesaikan itu, tapi tidak dalam bentuk apa ya, tidak dalam bentuk apa meminta atau menyuruh order tadi ya, tapi dalam bentuk pernyataan. Jadi itu ya, the manager actually intends to express dissatisfaction, ketidakpuasannya, dan kemudian press for completion. Jadi ada indirect request di situ, permintaan tapi nggak langsung loh ya. Why it's not ready, kan dia nggak nanya begitu kan, atau finish it's now misalnya, enggak gitu. Tapi dengan memberikan pernyataan, the report was supposed to be ready yesterday. Wah itu mah deg-degannya luar biasa sebetulnya. Oke, so perlocutionary-nya kira-kira untuk si listener apa? Untuk si employee kan, berarti listenernya.
Ya.
Kira-kira apa dia merasa apa dia Bapak Ibu? Feel pressure kan? Dia kan
Ya.
merasa ada pressure di situ, terus apa responsible-nya muncul kan itu kan, responsible, kemudian responnya dengan apa, giving reassurance tadi gitu, maka dia bilang I'm almost done, tapi ini memang nggak benar juga sih dia ya gitu, hanya bilang I almost done gitu. Nah ini makanya kemudian apa yang dia langgar nih gitu ya, maksim apa yang dia langgar, hanya padahal itu atasan ya gitu, tapi dia menjawabnya I almost done ya. Maka ini kemudian apa ya, indirect speech act ini gitu ya, ketika apa, where the form yang jadi bentuk declarative statement misalnya doesn't match the function, ya kan? Jadi kenapa dia disebut indirect speech act Bapak Ibu? Karena the form not match the function. Kalau statement ya statement aja kan, tapi sebenarnya kan fungsinya bukan itu. Fungsinya apa? Dia memerintahkan kan sebetulnya ya, directive ya, or complaint sebetulnya. Tapi dia menggunakan itu, maka disebut dengan indirect speech act. Kalau direct ya langsung. Ya, kenapa dia indirect? Karena dia mengemas itu dalam bentuk yang tidak sesuai dengan fungsinya. Statement ya statement, tapi ternyata statement dia itu sebetulnya adalah complaint ya, directive, permintaan ya, seperti itu. Nah, kan disebut dengan indirect speech act gitu. Nah, sebetulnya indirectness ini in professional context fungsinya apa Bapak Ibu? It soften criticism sebetulnya kan, memperhalus gitu. Criticism. Jadi itu tadi ya apa, kecerdasan bahasa kita itu harusnya bisa lebih terasah gitu ya. Dan kemudian bisa apa, maintenance the face of the employee sebetulnya. Ya mungkin ada hubungan-hubungan relationship yang harus dijaga gitu ya. Bagaimanapun kan memang harus dijaga tuh produktivitas dari si employee-nya. Nah, ini berdasarkan untuk yang soften criticism ini based on Brown and Levinson theory ya sebetulnya. Dan ini kan kalau di Indonesia cocok banget ya, lain ya
Ya.
dengan kita gitu sebetulnya gitu.
Basa-basi itu ya.
Iya, that's it, social
Betul.
expectation ya,
Ya, betul.
respect ya, preserve harmony. Kita kan nggak mau bikin clash gitu ya, yang maunya ketenangan aja tuh gitu. Nah, digunakanlah nih ya indirect speech ini gitu ya. Bahkan di hierarchical apa relation pun kita juga menggunakan ini gitu. Sama tuh tadi dengan atasan bawahan gitu kan. Jadi banyak hal yang kita pertimbangkan. Itu yang pertama. Next kemudian yang kedua, nah Gratian Maxim ini apa yang kemudian saya setuju. Quality. Ini harusnya kan nggak seperti itu ya. Mungkin karena dia sudah pressure ya, under pressure, terus juga nggak enak, jadi dia nggak bisa menjelaskan apapun selain menyajikan almost done gitu ya, mungkin seperti itu karena dia posisinya adalah employee. Nah ini kan sebetulnya kalau untuk Gracian apa, Grace Cooperative Principle, prinsip kerjasama ya kita terjemahkan, Cooperative Principle itu 1975, itu ada berapa maksim tadi, 4 ya? Maxims, right? Ya, ada quantity, ada quality, ada relation, ada manner. Itu kan S1 sudah kita belajar itu. Kalau untuk quantity, be as informative as necessary kan kita sebutkan ya. Jadi saying untuk bagaimana apa ya indikator ketika maksim ini dilanggar itu dengan cara apa? Dengan saying too little ya, kurang atau terlalu lebih bahkan too much. Nah, kalau di sini yang si employee dia yang mana ini? Too little ya, bukan. Ada juga yang too much. Nah, kalau too much itu seperti apa di ini Bapak Ibu, di humor ya, di pelawak-pelawak. Nah, itu yang dilanggar tuh quantity. Makanya dia lucu ya, karena dia terlalu memberikan jawaban yang panjang pada pertanyaan sedikit gitu. Nah, itu akhirnya memberikan efek lucu gitu. Then quality, say what you believe to be true, gitu ya. Jadi yang apa, yang kita percaya itu benarnya. Kalau untuk melanggarnya berarti apa? Laik, berbohong, right? Gitu. Itu melanggar tuh maksim itu. Kemudian untuk relation harusnya apa? Prinsipnya be relevant, that's it, good. Jadi harus sesuai. Nah, berarti kalau melanggar ini bagaimana? Ketika conversation dia changing topik tuh. Nah, kalau dia changing topik berarti dia nge-break tuh the the principle of relation gitu. Atau yang keempat manner. Manner itu udah be clear kan? Gitu.
Iya.
Tahu apa?
Empathy.
Pelawak yang gagap itu siapa? Bapak Ibu kan enggak ya? Aziz ya, Aziz gagap tuh.
Gagap.
Nah, itu kan dia mannernya gitu kan. Kita dia lucu. Nah, jadi dia nge-break itu tuh. Dia mau apa? Melanggar prinsip manner itu. Jadi kalau untuk bisa melanggar prinsip ini maka using ambiguity. Jadi kita memberikan hal-hal yang ambigu karena manner tadi gitu. Jadi ini yang untuk maksim. Nah, di konteks ini maka yang dilanggar adalah apa tadi? I almost done itu dia less informative, right? Yang
Quantity.
required, maka dia quantity. Jadi floating of the maxing quantity gitu. Nah, ini sebetulnya apa strategic use of vagueness sih sebetulnya dia ya. Karena dia avoids giving potential fast threatening information gitu ya ke si atasannya gitu. Jadi kenapa dia limited respon gitu ya? Tujuannya apa? To defend sebetulnya, to defend the employee's positive face gitu kan. Kemudian to respect the manager's authority ya, by not arguing or making excuses kan gitu ya. Gak enak juga dia gitu seperti itu untuk menjelaskan panjang lebar. Oke, kemudian implicationnya tadi excuse ya, Bapak Ibu, meminta izin karena the employee implies that the delay is minimal and will be resolved yes dengan secepatnya gitu. Oke, mungkin itu ya. Jadi mungkin pelajari lagi tentang implicature gitu ya, itu yang apa cooperation by grace ya, implied but not explicit stated itu untuk yang apa creation. Oke, I think that's all ya, karena ini juga sudah lewat ya waktunya. Mudah-mudahan ini bisa lebih memahamkan our topic today ya, Bapak Ibu ya, gitu ya, untuk semantik. Jadi tidak sesimpel itu sebetulnya ya untuk makna gitu ya. Bahkan tadi semantik pragmatik pun kita sudah ternyata ada beyond itu gitu. Untuk level magister, nah ini memang harus untuk apa ya lebih dipahami. Oke, I think there's no question ya, tidak ada lagi pertanyaan. That's all for today. Siap-siap kelompok penyanyi pekan depan kita sudah masuk ke apa ya? Topiknya ke semiotik ya. Good, that's it. Sudah masuk ke semiotik ya. Jadi semantik, pragmatik, kita lewat lagi ke semiotik. Oke, that's all for today. Thank you for joining the class. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
You, ma'am.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, izin langsung
Ya.
Mbak ya.
Ya,
Istirahat.
mohon izin ya Pak Bu.
Iya.